বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম।
পরম করুণাময় ও অসীম দয়ালু আল্লাহর নামে শুরু।
ইকরা বিসমি রাব্বিকাল্লাযী খালাক।
পাঠ করুন আপনার পালনকর্তার নামে, যিনি সৃষ্টি করেছেন।
খালাকাল ইনসানা মিন আলাক।
সৃষ্টি করেছেন মানুষকে জমাট রক্ত থেকে।
ইকরা ওয়া রাব্বুকাল আকরাম।
পাঠ করুন আপনার পালনকর্তা মহা দয়ালু,
আল্লাযী আল্লামা বিল কলম।
যিনি কলমের সাহায্যে শিক্ষা দিয়েছেন।
আল্লামাল ইনসানা মা লাম ইয়ালাম।
শিক্ষা দিয়েছেন মানুষকে যা সে জানত না।
কাল্লা ইন্নাল ইনসানা লায়াতগা।
সত্যি সত্যি মানুষ সীমা লঙ্ঘন করে,
আর রাআহু ইসতাগনা।
এ কারণে যে সে নিজেকে অভাবমুক্ত মনে করে।
ইন্না ইলা রাব্বিকার রুজআ।
নিশ্চয়ই আপনার পালনকর্তার দিকেই প্রত্যাবর্তন হবে।
আরাআইতাল্লাযী ইয়ানহা।
আপনি কি তাকে
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Nazia Tul Fatah. I'm studying at Botany Department in Rajbari Government College, Rajbari, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Today I will discuss to you about embryology according to Quran and science with evidence. Scientific miracles in Quran. God supported his last prophet Muhammad with many miracles and much evidence which prove that he is a true prophet sent by God. Also, God supported his last revealed book, the Holy Quran, with many miracles that prove that this Quran is the literal word of God, revealed by him, and that it was not authored by any human being. This chapter discusses some of this evidence. 1. The scientific miracles in the Holy Quran. The Quran is a literal word of God which he revealed to his prophet Muhammad through the angel Jibril. The Holy Quran, it was memorized by Muhammad, who then dictated it to his companions. They in turn memorized it, wrote it down, and reviewed it with the Prophet Muhammad. Moreover, the Prophet Muhammad, the Quran, which was revealed 14 centuries ago, mentioned facts only recently discovered or proven by scientists. This proves without doubt that the Quran must be the literal word of God, revealed by him to the Prophet Muhammad, and that the Quran was not authored by Muhammad or by any other human being. This also proves that Muhammad is truly a prophet sent by God. It is beyond reason that anyone 1400 years ago would have known as these facts discovered or proven only recently with advanced equipment and sophisticated scientific methods. Some example for scientific miracles in Quran. A. The Quran on human embryonic development. In the Holy Quran, God speaks about the stages of man's embryonic development. We created man from an extract of clay. Then we made him as a drop in place of settlement, firmly fixed. Then we made the drop into an alaka, leech, suspended thing, and blood clot. Then we made the alaka into a mugdha, chewed substance. Quran, Surah Nang 23, verses Nang 12 to 14. Literally, the Arabic word alaka has 3 meanings. 1. Leech. 2. Suspended thing. And 3. Blood clot. In comparing in a leech to an embryo in the alaka stage, we found similarity between the two, as we can see in figure 1. Also, the embryo at this stage obtains nourishment from the blood of the mother, similar to the leech which feeds on the blood of other. Figure 1. Drawing illustrating the similarities in appearance between a leech and a human embryo at the alaka stage. Leech drawing from human development as described in the Quran and Sunnah, Moore and others, p. 37, modified from integrated principles of geology, Hickman and others, embryo drawing from the developing human, Moore and Peshad, 5th ed. p. 73. Footnotes 1. Please note the what is between these special brackets in this website is only a translation of the meaning of the Quran. It is not the Quran itself which is in Arabic. 2. The developing human, Moore and Persian. 5th ed. p. 8. 3. Human development as described in the Quran and Sunnah, Moore and others, p. 36. Quran and Science, Chapter 2, Scientific Miracles in Quran. The Quran on human embryonic development. The second meaning of the word alaka is a suspended thing. This is what we can see in figure 2 and 3. The suspension of the embryo during the alaka stage in the womb of the mother. Figure 2, we can see in this diagram the suspension of an embryo during the alaka stage in the womb Aternus of the mother, the developing human, Moore and Pashad 5th ed. p. 66. Figure 3. In this photomicrograph, we can see the suspension of an embryo merged by B during the alaka stage about 15 years old in the womb of the mother. The actual size of the embryo is about 0.6 millimeter. The developing human Moore 3rd ed. p. 66 from histology, listen and listen. Figure 3. The third meaning of the word alaka is blood clot. We find that the external appearance of the embryo and its sex during the alaka stage is similar to that of a blood clot. This is due to the presence of relatively large amounts of blood present in the embryo during this stage 4. Also, during this stage, the blood in the embryo does not circulate until the end of the 3rd week. Thus, the embryo at this stage is like a clot of blood. Figure 4. Diagram of the primitive cardiovascular system in the embryo during the alaka stage. The external appearance of the embryo and its sex is similar to that of a blood clot due to the presence of relatively large amounts of blood present in the embryo. The developing human Moore 5th ed. p. 65. Figure 4. Footnotes. For human development as described in the Quran and Sunnah, Moore and others, pp. 37 to 38. 5. The developing human, Moore and Persian, 5th ed. p. 65. Quran and Science, Chapter 2, Scientific Miracles in Quran, the Quran on human embryonic development. The next stage mentioned in the verse is the Mudgha stage. The Arabic word mudgha means chewed substance. If one were to take a piece of gum and chew it in his or her mouth and then compare it with an embryo at the mudgha stage, we would conclude that the embryo at the mudgha stage acquires the appearance of a chewed substance. This is because of the somites at the back of the embryo that somewhat resemble teeth marks in a chewed substance. See figures 5 and 6. Figure 5. Photograph of an embryo at the Mudgha stage 20 days old. The embryo at this stage acquires the appearance of a chewed substance because the somites at the back of the embryo somewhat resemble teeth marks in a chewed substance. The actual size of embryo is 4 mm. The developing human, Moore and Persian, 5th ed. p. 82 from Professor Hideo Nishimura, Kyoto University, Kyoto, Japan. Figure 5. Figure 6. When comparing the appearance of an embryo at the mudghah stage with a piece of gum that has been chewed, we find similarity between the two. A. Drawing of an embryo at the mudghah stage. We can see here the somites at the back of the embryo that look like teeth marks. The developing human, Moore and Pursuit, 5th ed. p. 79. B. Photograph of a piece of gum that has been chewed. How could Muhammad have possibly known all this 1400 years ago when scientists have only recently discovered this using advanced equipment and powerful microscopes which did not exist at that time? Ham and Leeuwenhoek were the first scientists to observe human sperm cells, spermatozoa, using an improved microscope in 1677, more than 1,000 years after Muhammad. They mistakenly thought that the sperm cell contained a miniature performed human being that grew when it was deposited in the female genital tract. Professor Emeritus Keith L. Moore is one of the world's most prominent scientists in the fields of anatomy and embryology and is the author of the book entitled The Developing Human, which has been translated into 8 languages. This book is a scientific reference work and was chosen by a special committee in the United States as the best book authored by one person. Dr. Keith Moore is Professor Emeritus of Anatomy and Cell Biology at the University of Toronto, Canada. There he was Associate Dean of Basic Science at the Faculty of Medicine and for 8 years was the chairman of the Department of Anatomy. In 1984, he received the most distinguished award presented in the field of anatomy in Canada, the JCB Grant Award from the Canadian Association of Anatomists. He has directed many international associations such as the Canadian and American Association of Anatomists and the Council of the Union of Biological Sciences. In 1981, during the 7th Medical Conference in Dammam, Saudi Arabia, Professor Moore said, "It has been a great pleasure for me to help clarify statements in the Quran about human development. It is clear to me that these statements must have come to Muhammad from God, because almost all of this knowledge was not discovered until many centuries later. This proves to me that Muhammad must have been a messenger of God." Consequently, Professor Moore was asked the following questions: "Does this mean that you believe that the Quran is the word of God?" He replied, "I find no difficulty in accepting this." During one conference, Professor Moore stated, "Because the staging of human embryos is complex, owing to the continuous process of change during development, it is proposed that a new system of classification could be developed using the terms mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. What Muhammad said, did, or approved of the proposed system is simple, comprehensive, and confirms with present embryological knowledge. The intensive studies of the Quran and Hadith reliably transmitted reports by the Prophet Muhammad's companions of what he said, did, or approved of in the last 4 years have revealed a system for classifying human embryos that is amazing since it was recorded in the 7th century AD. Although Aristotle, the founder of the science of embryology, realized the embryos developed in stages from his studies of hen's eggs in the 4th century BC. He did not give any details about these stages. As far as it is known from the history of embryology, little was known about the staging and classification of human embryos until the 20th century. For this reason, the descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century. The only reasonable conclusion is these descriptions were revealed to Muhammad from God. He could not have known such details because he was an illiterate man with absolutely no scientific training. Footnotes 6. The developing human Moor and Persian 5th ED p8. 7. The developing human Moor and Persian 5th ED p9. 8. Note the occupations of all the scientists mentioned in this website were last updated in 1997.